we switch also the gears, but still on that very point of a dead system to discuss the roads. And we had talked about it, but I found something worth noting, because if we're talking about the dead system and we do not discuss the state of the roads as we did, which also made news again, how is it a representation of the government and the plans by this government?
I think that on a larger scale, yesterday there were some reports from unconfirmed sources that the Ministry of Finance is now staggering payments of civil servants.
That's
this
true.
week they pay these ones, next week they pay others, the other week. You guys wait for next month at the beginning. I think that our priorities are the ones, and I was talking to the guys that I was with yesterday and telling them, if this has started as early as now, imagine what will happen next year in February at the back of a very heavy unregulated expenditure. Because I mean, you know where this money comes from that is thrown around, given to artists. We've been talking about gentleman in Gulu giving out money. Artists. Show and Saze. I'm sorry to our audience that doesn't listen to Luganda, but someone I
meant losses for a short.
You're a businessman. How do you make losses and you say that you want to be compensated for you
want to dig into the national cake?
The national cake that taxpayers compensate you for making bad business decisions. How many people are losing businesses in Chikubo, in every place?
So there's been this.
I've been in this. In the coffee space. So many people have lost money because of the price fluctuation. Should they all come to the gentleman in Guru to say we've made losses, we need to be compensated? Why do artists feel? But also, why is there such a kind of budget? Why is there such kind of?
We want to take advantage to inform Ugandans about something. I know Ugandans have been locked in the comparison of how things were before 1986, that they forget how things should be in 2025. The NRM will always tell you that thing that when they took power in 1986, they have 1,000 and there was 1,900 kilometers of tarmac roads, and now we have, I think, over 6,199. But I want to give perspective on that point.
Please.
Despite boasting of one of biggest road budgets in East Africa, Uganda still struggles to deliver a truly modern transport infrastructure according to the African Development Bank and World Bank data. I'm reading that report. Uganda has constructed approximately 6,000 kilometers of paved tarmac in the last 40 years under regime. Now, this is where the comparison comes in. Kenya has done 22,000.
You see?
In the same period.
See?
Tanzania has done 14,000 in the same period. Less than 25% of Uganda's total road network is paved, leaving the majority of the rural areas where most Ugandans live basically inaccessible. I will also jump into the NRM manifesto of 2021. At the checkmate, we dig out the facts.
Yeah, for sure we do.
By the 2021 manifesto of the NRM, they had promised to construct 43 major roads with a total coverage of 2,988. They have not delivered on the promise. We had very disturbing social media pictures, and notably there was one of Abim Otuke Lila Road, where they show a bus was trying to dodge and even the guards were falling off. And that's the state of the roads, with the Ministry of Works now, which absorbed in the defunct UNRA, trying to redistribute the money to make sure that contractors go back on the roads and start to work. It's that a dire situation.
You know, a situation is dire, Harold, when we start to reap the consequences of the decisions that we make. Rest in peace, Rajiv. Recently, you know, that accident happened because the contractor abandoned the road.
Yes.
And at first people were like, okay, where is the contractor? Until they were told
the guy wasn't paid.
The man wasn't paid for a job he had done for a long, so he had to just, leave it like that. I have seen roads that contribute to a lot of taxes to this country. Nebi Paida
Mitiana
Padea Road in the north, in West Nile. Mutukura,
Yes,
through the Tanzanian
the
border.
Tanzania access.
That road is so bad that gangs, because the car must, the trucks that
It
coming
will
in with
slow down,
rice
yes.
must be driving at 20 kilometers per hour, you know. So gangs would,
This is the main access to Tanzania.
that's the main access. Bring in rice, bring in beans, bring in, you know, agricultural
Maize,
products,
yes.
maize. So these gangs would just hop on those vehicles, open the doors, and start to throw out, you know. Now guys now have to put sengenge
around the truck.
it, all these sharp thorns.
Can you
Every
imagine?
time you meet a vehicle in Kampala here,
This is 2025, not
yes,
1972.
with thorns. Sometimes you meet them with thorns or sengenge at there, you know. Just understand that they are trying to throw off these gangs. Why? Because they are driving on a road at 20 kilometers per hour, entering a country.
Wow.
Bringing foreign exchange, taking out, you know, goods and services. You know, Kampala here, where we collect the most taxes, roads are allowed to be in such a bad state. And I was telling my friends in Chira, on Chira Nigeria Road, that they pray the road is finished before February next year.
Is true.
Because it's as if it's just, you don't want to believe it, but you want to also think that why do they let it dilapidate for 4 years, and they want to do it in their last year towards campaigns?
And when
Are they going
Museveni
to
comes
pick it
in, he
up?
says that because you voted opposition who do not access me for me to do this kind of work. Is it a
But
discussion that we should be having in?
Is that really responsible? I mean, you're the leader of a country. You're not a leader of places that get NRM MPs. That is actually a very responsible statement.
Exactly.
Which head of state, that is, I expect that from Nabanja, but not really a head of state.
I wanted to also weigh in on that. Still on the issue of roads. My biggest issue is...
But also, that's fallacious. That's fallacious.
Definitely.
In the North has always voted Museveni since the war. Their roads are not made,
yes.
which I was talking about. Here, it's just of recent that
Mamerito and the mayorship changed. And
the road on Mutukura.
oh yes,
Just recent. All these were NRM
was
leaning.
yellow,
you know,
yes,
it
yellow
was,
camps
it was
also.
yellow camps for a long time. Why weren't their roads made?
let me just dig a little bit into the budget.
Yes.
And this is so if you look at the source of government revenue for the 2025-2026 budget, you have external financing at 11.3 trillion Uganda shillings. You have domestic revenue at 35.5 trillion Uganda shillings. You have grants at 2 trillion. You have domestic refinancing where government borrows from internal banks at 10 trillion. And then domestic borrowing at 11. My emphasis is on the domestic revenue. I want to give perspective on tourism. Because when you look at the tourism, the allocation, let's start with the allocation on roads. They have allocated 6.9 trillion for infrastructure. And that money is going for the construction of the standard gauge railway, complete construction of 5 bridges, you know, the Palisa, Kalujumba in Kasese, Bujibuni, Sirinko, etc. It is those 5 bridges that have been talked about. I've had Museveni emphasize them a lot. And then rehabilitation of the Duka roads, 88 local governments, repair of 10 units of workshop machinery, continue with maintenance of 13 aerodromes, etc. etc. But if you are looking at getting money from tourism, for example, you have the road to the tourism city in Fort Portal in the worst state. Tourism in Uganda by 2025 grew by 13.1%. And it reached for the first time 100.5 billion. And that is by March 2025. From 100.36 billion. If you want to grow that art with the hashtags Explore Uganda, like what Rwanda is doing with Visit Rwanda and etc., what are you doing back at home to put it in a state of benefiting and growing your internal revenues?
I think that I'll give you an allegory of you know, a sharp kid who doesn't
read.
Put in you don't need to read. So I mean you score like 80. You know, other guys have, you know, put in the work, but because they're not as sharp as you are, maybe they score 75. But if you read, yeah, maybe you score 98. You score. That is the Uganda and the tourism people and people in the tourism sector are surviving mainly off what we have as natural.
Because what has been done.
Have you seen the road to Bwindi?
Horrible.
But people will come to see the gorilla.
They will
Because,
still
I mean,
do.
where else will you go? You know? That's why some people are even passing through Rwanda, which has really, really, really little percentage.
Exactly.
You know? The road to the tourism city, you mentioned it. And so many other things. Just here, the road to Jinja,
Yeah.
through Mavira.
I get you.
Yeah.
With 1,000 trucks and very narrow.
So narrow, no attempt to expand it, even through, I mean, I would expect that in Mavira, where there's no, this is government, you know, there
No
will be,
compensation whatsoever
there will be
needed.
some kind of expansion of
I
that,
get you.
of that kind of thing.
People
But
go to the source of the Nile and have to
that
pass.
money that you're reading that we're benefiting out of tourism is just because of personal effort of tourism actors against the tide.
We are milking a cow we are not feeding.
We are milking a cow we are not feeding, you know. But we are lucky that the cow still has some milk. We have good parks, we have good weather, people come to see, you know, so many things. That is something that we should be capitalizing on rather than, you know, letting it slip into the abyss.
Let's wait and see how the 6.9 trillion will be distributed, with the contractors still demanding money.
If it is realized anyway.
Maybe or not. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be telling you more about a Ugandan indicted in the US. We'll tell you more about the streets of the CDF, and we will discuss a little bit of the people that have passed on and talk about their legacies. Thank you very much for watching.